Yes, it very much feels like living in the Matrix. Um, the your 20s should be about learning who you are, what you want to do, what things you're passionate about, because in your 30s you should be working towards that and fixing things and helping build a better society. Um, I think that's kind of why we have a lackluster Gen Z who doesn't want to work in the traditional system, is because they're realizing that this system doesn't work for anybody, and they want something new. And I think it's their later generations' duty to really establish what's new.
Welcome back to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where everyday people share the quotes that have shaped their lives, inviting us all to reflect and grow together. Today we're joined by Cody Johnston, a Canadian software engineer and content creator who thrives at the intersection of technology and creativity. With a deep passion for uncovering the hidden quirks of our society, Cody's work dives deep into the complexity of Canadian identity and the systems that shape our lives. Let's open our hearts and mind as we explore the wisdom that has inspired Cody on his journey. Okay. Tell us your name and what's your favorite quote is.
So my name is Cody Johnston, aka the Weird Canadian, and my favorite quote is actually a very pessimistic one, and it is "Life sucks, then you die." It's been Yes, it is a very prevalent motto throughout my entire life.
Where is that coming from?
It stemmed from a long time of just realizing that things weren't working. Life didn't feel like succeeding. Things felt like they didn't make sense. It was really just as I saw life, like growing up as a teenager and as an early adult, realizing that like the way our current structure, the way we currently run society is, it's just life and it sucks. Then you die. Like you just go to work, you do your thing, and you have your retirement if you even get one, and then you die. That's how I kind of saw life for a long time.
When you say that's how you kind of saw life for a long time, has that changed?
Yeah, it definitely changed.
Has
with that motto, it kind of always drove me to be like, why is this broken? Why can I not do these things? Why do things don't make sense? So it kind of kicked off a lifelong passion of just figuring shit out, for lack of a better term. Like I really just wanted to figure out why it didn't work for me, why it didn't work for others. And then I realized that the system isn't built for people. It's built for companies and governments and dictators. Like it's not meant for everyday people.
Some persons, by way of their life or whatever they seem to have had, they would scream that they are exceptions. So what would be the explanation for that?
I think the exceptions are the people who have broken the mold. And I think we're starting to see a lot more people breaking that mold, because with technology, with communication, with everybody around the world talking about it and realizing that this structure doesn't work for anybody. Like for the first time ever, we've come as a society and can talk across boundaries, across everything and the internet. And we're realizing that it's everybody has the same problems. And now it's just these bold few who have broken away from these traditional settings and have decided to make their way. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that coming in the future, just because of freedom of knowledge.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like the statements they make that, oh, you have to like get out of the matrix.
Yes, it very much feels like living in the Matrix. Your 20s should be about learning who you are, what you want to do, what things you're passionate about, because in your 30s you should be working towards that and fixing things and helping build a better society. I think that's kind of why we have a lackluster Gen Z who doesn't want to work in the traditional system, is because they're realizing that this system doesn't work for anybody, and they want something new. And I think it's their later generations' duty to really establish what's new.
Okay. But when you say the system isn't working, because I feel like the system is working, like from years back to years, the system has always been there, so it must be working. So I want you to like be specific in the statement. The system is not working. Is that the system is not working, or the system is not working for us or for you?
The system's not working for the everyday person. The system is made and is functioning to keep the status quo, to keep things as they are. They don't want change because change comes a bunch of crumbling that they don't want to see. So that's kind of where we're at right now. A big generational of the system being like, we don't want to change because we're scared of what's going to happen, and a bunch of people who are realizing the system isn't working for everyday people and just want to make the system work that way. And that's kind of the caveat that we've come down to, the impasse that we've come down to as a society.
You mentioned earlier on that for a long time you saw life as life sucks, then you die. And I was like asking, how has that changed? Right? If you were to write a version 2, a revised edition, the volume 2 of, let's say the quote was a book, Life Sucks, Then You Die. What would be the revised edition, the version 2? What would the title be?
I think it would be,
Okay.
That's a hard one. I want to say something along the lines of like, life only sucks
Okay.
if you let it. Yeah, because it really is just coming down to the understanding that of how to
Okay.
make the system work for you. Breaking the mold,
Okay.
finding new ways.
I'm curious, what's your background professionally? Like, why I'm asking the question so you understand the context is I want to know, like, do you have a background in the sciences or in the arts, or like where is your background in?
My background is
Okay.
primarily in software
Okay.
development, so technology, computer building, yeah, AI. But I also have a big background in government services, as I worked for the Ministry of
Okay.
Transportation
The
for
reason
8 years.
I'm saying
So
I'm asking the
I
question
got
is
an
in
indoors.
physics there is a law, Newton's first law, that everything will remain in a state of rest or of motion except being acted upon by an external force. So when you mention the quote that, oh, life sucks and then you die, you're simply saying that, oh, everything will be the way it is, or things will be worse as they are, except there is an action of an external force.
Yes, that is what it is. It took me a good 20 years to figure that out, but you have to be your own external force. You have to drive your own life. That's
Yeah,
what it really
and
comes
then
down to.
it's a good thing we point this out, because a lot of persons they hear the quotes, they're like, okay, so my life will always be this, the system will always be working against me until I exact an external force. Of course, in the context of external force, it could be getting the knowledge of how to do better, connecting with the network of people who have the same vision and dreams you have. But then here's the problem: sometimes the external force is not enough, such that even though you exact external force on it, it's not going to stop. I'll give an example. Let's say a car was driving, right? A car was like driving, and the car has the trajectory, the pathway that it's moving, and I'm on the side of the road, and I as the car is I push the car. Now I exacted external force, but that force is not going to do anything. I might end up breaking my hand. So sometimes we're doing too little that it looks as if it's not even working.
Yes. At the same time, it does move a little bit. You may have broken your hand, but at least you learned a lesson not to push with your own two hands, right? And that's all
Yeah.
life really comes down to.
Yeah,
Trial and
a very
error.
expensive lesson that you would not forget in your whole. Yeah,
And that's all human existence is. That's all we're operating off of, is an experience that we've had, the knowledge that we've gained from the failures and the successes that we've made in our lives. And just realizing that we've done those things
yeah,
unconsciously and self-reflecting gives you that external force to be able to
yeah,
act on those
yeah.
things.
Well, life sucks, then you die. Now, uh, I'm trying to articulate the revised edition. Life sucks. I think there's an interim between the life sucks, then you die. There could be an interim, or it could just be a prolonged state of life sucks and then you die. Well, the choice is yours.
Yeah, I really do think it comes down to choice, and I think a lot more people are making that choice nowadays. It's just to break the mold. Really comes down to breaking the mold. We need a different society that works for all of us, not just the
Yeah,
few.
and that's one of the thing, the thing that the power of choice. A lot of persons are not even aware that they have the power to choose, and it's hard to choose when you're not even aware that you have the power to choose one, and you're not even aware of the options that are available to you. You feel like, oh, this is the only path, and so you can't explore or choose other options because, yeah, this is how it has always been. There's no other. Let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought-provoking ideas straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite-sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind-the-scenes reflections from our guests. just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join, or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right, let's get back to the conversation.
Hate that line so much. Just because it's always been this way does not mean it is the best way forward. It very well may be, but that doesn't mean it's always is. And I actually have a story on the 9 to 5 and talking about this very subject coming out soon too. So little tidbits here or there.
Could you share with us the story, or is it going to be a spoiler since you have something coming out? Okay, you share a brief summary, and if they're interested, they can go check out the full video on this video, right? You can go check out the full video on the Weird Canadian on YouTube.
So the summary is basically the 9 to 5 work week was essentially built as a survival mechanism. We originally were working to the bones for survival. And then as unions came in the late 1800s, they actually wanted companies to start treating their workers humanely. And that's when the 40-hour work week came in. And then they basically from there didn't take into account that anything more than you're going from needing to work 100, 300 hours a week to get by to this 40-hour week where you're able to survive. But they didn't take into account like physical or mental health. They didn't take into account people's well-being or what they've got going on in their lives. But none of that stuff was really researched at that time. So it's understandable. So we went from a period of unrest to rest, but now we're very much in another period of unrest because that 9 to 5 that was made over 100 years ago no longer fits our model for 2025. Just kind of a short teaser there of the summary of it. Yeah. But it's really interesting the progression of how that came to be.
Society is changing, things are changing, and usually this
and if we don't keep up,
the system, the machines, everything is designed to work for the average, for the common, right? And the question then becomes, well, do I want to be part of that common, that average, part of everybody else? And then I'm not speaking to this financially, of course, right? Because there's this myth that if you go to school, get a job, and you get a job, you become a millionaire, and well, that's not exactly true. I mean, if you go to school, you get a job, you get paid, but it's not exactly, it's not exactly true. Like, then you start looking around and say, okay, the millionaires, what exactly are they doing? And then you realize that, they are doing a very like high profile job, or they have their own business. And it becomes a question of, okay, do I want to like be millionaire and become rich enough to like, take care of my expenses, I have the freedom and everything? Or do I just like this job and just want to be, doing the job and getting paid what I'm getting paid right now, even though I'm struggling to make ends meet? It's a matter of choice. But then if it's, no, I believe I could do more, I believe more is possible, then it's now a question of, okay, you're not okay, let me go back. School, right, is a very good thing. Yeah. But the truth about school is that it is built and designed to prepare people for job in companies, in factories, in organizations, right? The training is there to get people. Of course, they do entrepreneurship and all that, but most of the times the entrepreneurship itself, in rare cases where you are privileged to be in a school where the professors teaching the entrepreneurship, they're actually entrepreneurs. Like, that's in a rare condition. But even then, at that point in time when they're teaching the entrepreneurship, they have a job called of being a professor. The irony of things. But school is a very nice thing, it's a very good thing. But sometimes you have to understand that what you are getting from school is not enough to become, like, what you're getting from school is enough for you to get a job and work in a company or wherever the specialization might be, but it's not enough for you to say, okay, I want to build my own.
I really think we should start as a society focusing on school and preparing children for the actual world that we give over to them as they come out of school. Yes, they need to learn the basics like math and things like that, but they could also be learning things like how to create a budget, how to do your taxes, how to do your laundry. Like, how to look for a home, those types of things that
Yeah.
we don't get taught and we have to learn on our own, and we're
Yeah.
just thrown into society. And that really is.
Yeah. The thing that runs society, money, we don't talk about it. I'm wondering what else are we talking about? Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes down to money, especially with our new business model. So you had gone into like we're built for working in factories and businesses and stuff. And when we were built for like that, the school was built for that. And when they were going out and doing those jobs, they were profitable. You were
Yeah.
able to succeed. You were able to build a life off of it. The problem came as companies decided to give less and less to the people making the things and more to the people just running the systems. Um, I think we need to get back to a system, and I think we're going to get back to a system where people don't have to choose between becoming a business owner and choosing what they want to do. I think we're going to have a new generation of business owners that are going to bring in employees that want to do what they want to do and take from their knowledge, their ideas, their experiences to build their business. Um, Building human built businesses, family driven businesses, bring in your friends and come up with something that brings you happiness while also making you all rich. It's possible. You don't need you don't need an or. There's always an.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not an either or. It can be both.
We live in we've been telling people for too long that it's or and it's or and it's or, and you have to make a decision. Sometimes it can be and if you can make and work, you're going to be so much happier for it.
Over the course of the past 20 minutes, we've had a conversation. We started with the quotes, life sucks, and then you die. And I'm thinking of like a shorter version of that quote too, of a revised edition, because from the conversation we've had, we were not just, because I feel like life sucks. It's not the fact that it says life sucks. Of course, life sucks. It's the fact that it's not, there is no statement of hope in the quote, right? It's life sucks and then you die. It's like there's nothing you possibly could do. So I'm trying to see if there's a way we can revise that quote to become a version of, okay, life sucks and life sucks and then you die, unless, or something like that. I don't know. Something to say, okay, you can change the narrative.
The path to a happy life. No, that's too long.
Okay. Well, we could do something though.
Really,
we could prompt ChatGPT
I'll have to come back to you on that
give
one.
us the revised edition. Yeah. I mean, we should do that so that we can both live with a better quote. It would be nice if the new quote can also start with life sucks too, and probably end with and then you die.
Okay, so it comes up with you live, then it gets better. You struggle, then you thrive. Life's rough, but you rise. Or witty, you die, then nothing sucks. Empowering. Survive the chaos, create the meaning.
Survive the chaos.
I like that.
Create the meaning. Or, I mean, if you don't survive the chaos, then you die. Yeah. Yeah, survive the chaos, create the meaning. Wow, thank you so much, Cody, for coming on the podcast and for sharing your favorite quote with us. It's been really, really fun chatting with you. I feel like I've had a podcast bestie from Canada.
Yeah, I definitely love the things you do, and I would love to come back another time.
Yeah, of course. You know, while you're building your podcast and the business and everything, probably maybe 6 months from now, I'd love to like have you back on the other podcast, and then we can talk about how, you know, and really go deep into how you've been building, managing, and making some of the financial decisions you've made and all those things. Yeah. Where can the listeners learn more about you and what you do?
Yeah. So any social media, The Weird Canadian, aside from X, I just don't want to contribute to that. But yeah, if you search up The Weird Canadian on any social media platform, you'll come across me. Feel free to comment, subscribe, and join the revolution that I'm trying to start, I guess.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cody. Thanks for listening to Relatable Wisdom. If you found something meaningful in this episode, make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. If you'd like to support the show, you can do that by buying me a coffee. The link is in the show notes. Every little bit keeps the conversations going. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep growing.